So this week, I think it's week. We're doing them by weeks now, aren't we? But this episode of the Tezlom Podcast, I'm going to be dead honest with you. When I started this podcast, I had no idea the journey I was going to go on. And I don't even sometimes think I'm the right person for the job sometimes, because I get to be influenced and inspired and hear the stories of some of the most, I don't even know what the right word is, courageous people in the UK right now. Basically another industry leader who's just blown me away with her journey. She's travelled the world at 20 years old, all over the place, had 3 boys, created a multi-million-pound business across the UK with numbers of franchisees. I can't even get it all into one little video, but Sarah, I think it's Cressell, I think her name's that's how you pronounce it, but the founder and creator of the Creative Station, thank you so much. This is an amazing podcast for anyone to watch. You'll get so much from this. Thanks for listening. So, here we are back at the Tezlom Podcast. And for those people who don't know, when I do the podcast, I always make sure I don't know the guest that well. And this lady, I don't know that well, but we met once and I believe we had a really good exchange of energy, and I was like, I need to get her on the podcast. So I'm very grateful. If you could please just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and just go from there.
Brilliant. So I'm Sarah Cressell, founder of the Creation Station, where we inspire imagination. Mum to 3 amazing lads, married to my gorgeous husband Duncan, live in Devon. We've inspired over 1.5 million kids and adults.
Wow.
And there's just so much more to do, because creativity makes such a difference to people's lives.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I love a creative. Would you say you're a creative now still, or would you think you've gone into a business person now, or do you think you go back to it?
It's the same.
Is it the same?
I think most business people are creative, because every day you've got to solve a problem.
Oh my God, Sarah, you have just picked up on a conversation I had with Kay last night. Sorry, Kay, but we'll cover that later.
Because I think people think creativity as art or painting or music or drama, whereas it's problem solving. It's taking 2 things, bringing it together.
And there's usually a plot of how to get there as well. Is like you start off on a journey of creating something.
Yeah.
It's just like business.
Yeah, it's thinking.
Yeah.
And helping people think, and the confidence to think and make a mistake. That whole process to me is creativity, not arts and crafts. Arts and crafts is the vehicle to be creative, whether it's music, dance, arts and crafts, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you're trying something when you don't always know what the outcome's going to be. And what we do isn't about, we're going to make this. It's about, we're going to give you the opportunity to explore, experiment, develop, try things out. Yeah. And just enjoy the journey, because the learning and the development at any age is amazing. It's the process, not the product.
I love that. That's cool. Right. So I usually don't bother asking too much about the franchising, because sometimes it's a bit boring. It seems like a pitch, but I actually want to hear about this. So tell me okay, I'm thinking about coming to one of your classes. What happens? How does it go? How does it work? Is it even called a class?
Yeah. So we have. That's really threw me, because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to remember things from my childhood, so I can definitely talk about franchising. Yeah. So we have all different types of classes for different ages. We started with preschool, Little Explorers, and that was linked to
Why did you start it? Why did it born?
So I had been in a wheelchair for a few years. I had 3 kids.
From having 3 kids?
Yeah, complications with hips.
All right, okay.
And I'd been to loads of gym classes. I take the kids to lots of different play groups. Yeah. And sometimes I go to the play group, and as a parent with any kids, you feel pretty exhausted. Yeah. You're a bit on, you haven't slept. It's exhausting. So you go to these experiences to hopefully feel a bit better. No. But some of these places you'd go, and the women, typically women, normally women, they'd be really cliquey. So you'd go, no one would talk to you. 3 kids under 3.5, they'd be running.
You had 3 kids under 3.5?
They'd be running around.
Fucking hell, how did you deal with that?
And I don't know. I've no idea.
I've got 2 kids, mine's 7 and 4, and I think most days I'm pretty much losing my mind.
Yeah. I think it's probably because my childhood, my background is like, I was so privileged to be a mum.
Right.
And amazing husband who's been incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
So I was able to be playful in my work. Okay. So I had the idea of running. Well, actually, I'd been to gym, I'd been to music, and I was with a mate of mine, Jan, and I said, she said, it's amazing it's not creative for kids. I was like, oh my God,
an epiphany.
That is it. Yeah. Let's get going. And like half an hour later, she went, you're on your own, Sarah. I'm going back to teaching. You get on. And I was like, great. Because I knew I was, with my background, I had found the round peg, the round hole. This was me.
So would you, if I could, just let me summarise. So that idea came from going to classes that you didn't enjoy. What was the makeup bit of it? What was the?
So a lot of it was because what I'd done before.
Okay, so which was?
So if I start,
we're gonna have to unravel it all, aren't we?
We might as well unravel it.
Okay.
Because there's little, and I think in most people's lives,
100%.
There's little.
Well, the thing is there's never, so say you say I want to be an astronaut, is how the astronaut got to be an astronaut, and it's not I went to astronaut school. It's a big journey. Yeah,
I went through and I did look at that. I went through what careers, got to A, thought that'll do.
Yeah.
And I did. I thought I'd be good to be an astronaut. Yeah. I didn't actually get to artist because I thought, why not? Yeah. Be out in the world, do something. So that was on my bucket list, but I haven't done it yet.
They've just done the first flight, haven't they, Virgin?
Yes.
Did you see it yesterday?
No.
On the news,
I heard of it.
Yeah, they were on the news yesterday. Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah, it would be incredible. I'd definitely do that.
And that takes creativity to even think that's possible. And then the engineers and the techs I think people in life is all about business. It's all about, no, the other way around. People in life is all about connectivity, collaboration, communication, being together. And certainly what I'm doing now is because of the amazing people I've been so fortunate to work with.
Forget about Creative Station. Let's just go back. It's difficult to cover a full career span in a podcast that doesn't go on for hours and hours and hours. Where were you born?
So I was born in Bootle.
Born in Bootle? Okay.
Born in Bootle.
All right.
Youngest of 6.
Fucking 6?
My mum had 5 and 5 years. I came 4 years later.
Oh my God.
Catholic. Very grateful. She was Catholic, otherwise I wouldn't be here. And my dad died when we were little. She'd come over from Ireland. She had no family support.
Jesus Christ, she must be a strong woman.
She grafted.
Fucking hell, 6 kids on a Todd.
Yeah, 3 boys, 3 girls.
Wow.
Yeah.
She fucking hell, I want to go and see her.
Yeah, because she's down the road.
Yeah, no.
Your staff look after her.
Get her on the podcast. Oh my God.
Oh, she is a woman with incredible passion, drive, determination.
Tenacity, just guile, everything.
Yeah. I owe everything to her, actually.
Yeah. Did she have a job or she just trying to put ends together?
So she did. She had the kids, and because the 5 all played together, when I came along, she was concerned that there wouldn't be any kids for me to play with. Yeah. So she set up some of the first play groups in the country.
No way.
Which is ironic, kind of, what I'm doing. And then she always told, probably because she was so busy, she always told us that, we could do anything we set our minds to. Yeah. And she had left Ireland from a family that didn't really leave Ireland, so she knew she didn't really want to hold us back. She wanted to, roots and shoots, let us fly. Yeah. So in our house, there was no chocolate. Obviously, we didn't have money for chocolate. We didn't have money for diddly squat. But we didn't realise we were skint. No. We just enjoyed. We got I was talking to my sister this morning about free meals and stuff. Yeah. And I said, how did you feel about free meals? She said, well, I loved it. I said, I loved it too. Because we're getting free food. Yeah. And the semolina wasn't very nice. You mix it up and it's all pink. But I didn't notice we didn't have any cash. Yeah. I
don't think you know when you're a kid anyway, do you?
We just played. We played with cardboard boxes and, wandered about the streets until it was time to come home. Yeah. But I remember there not being any chocolate, and I thought, well, I'd like chocolate. How can I get chocolate? I still like chocolate. And so I wrote a comic with a mate, and I sent it to Cadbury's. And the hero of the story, I won't tell you the story, but it's a great story. The hero of the comic story was Cadbury's saved the world and with chocolate. Sent it to Cadbury's. Can you guess what they did?
What?
They sent me this big box.
No, they didn't.
Of chocolate. And I didn't realise at the time, but I learned really young the power of a goal.
Yeah.
Because you put it out there and you've no idea how you're going to achieve it, but something happens and you start to find solutions.
Well, there's that word manifestation that's like a bit of a buzzword and definitely an Instagram post, but that's just self-belief, isn't it?
Yeah, it's knowing the direction.
Yeah.
You know, because at least then you've got an idea whether or not you've got there. But if you don't know where you want to get to, you'll definitely never get there.
Yeah, you've got to have some sort of goal. You've got to have some sort of direction. You've got to know where you're going. There's got to be, what am I going to do?
Yeah, and for me, I am quite goal-driven. I'm very goal-driven. But I also don't mind if I don't achieve the goal. Yeah. Because I'll have learnt something along the way and something else will have happened.
But the goal might change as well because of the learning.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because of the learning on the journey to get into that goal. And also what happens is sometimes I think, you'll definitely think this, is you decide that goal isn't worth it anymore because of the learning you go through and you're like, actually, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. I don't want that anymore. Yeah. It's a bit like materialistic things. Like I like shiny things and flash things and I love clothes, I like fast cars, I like tattoos, I like buying expensive things, but I've learned over time that they don't actually matter. They're irrelevant, but I also call them like they got the I don't know what the right terminology. There is a saying, but basically the joys of war, so to speak. You know, you've been doing work and working hard, and then you buy something you fancy and you like it. And I think the spoils of war is the spoils of war. So I think when you're doing a journey towards a goal, sometimes the goal changes because of the journey you've been on. You actually think that's not as important as it used to be, and I'm actually enjoying this part of the journey now.
Exactly. And everyone talks about life as a journey, because let's face it, we all end up in the same destination. You know, so we don't want. It's got to be about the journey. Yeah. Because it's going to end at some point, isn't it?
Yeah, you're going to die at some point.
You're going to die. Yeah. And I remember my mum for my 13th birthday. God knows how she did it. She took me to London. Damn, she did that. She wanted to give me these experiences. But what I remember most, she bought me Anita Roddick's biography. Right. And I couldn't believe you could run a business and make a difference. And at the same time, I went to London. It was all the tall buildings, business, you know, grey suits and
taxis and cars and
corporate or whatever. I was like, God, a business can make a difference. Yeah. And this was like in the 70s. Like I think I banked that somewhere in my head. And because I'd said to a mate of hers, all my siblings were obviously leaving home. I was going to stay home and look after my mum. She didn't want that for me because she'd had that pressure herself. Yeah. So she said to me, did I want to go to boarding school? I was like, yeah. I've read those Mallory Towers books. Yeah, it'd be great. And somehow she managed to, up in Newcastle, up in Alnwick, I went to a convent boarding school for a couple of years.
No way.
Yeah. And went there. Wasn't like Mallory Towers, I can tell you. It was tough. Girls had already had their friendship groups and I was coming in. And I was there for 2 years, I very quickly learned how to be independent, stand on my own 2 feet, make friends, get on with people. I'd always been good at getting on with people, to be honest. I actually got, in my primary school, in my school report, I got an A for making friends. Yeah. Isn't that a nice thing to have in life?
I think I've covered this recently on the podcast as well. I think it was with Carl. Like that is a massive skill set that not everyone knows about. It's like being easy to work with, and being approachable and being friendly is a massive soft skill that not a lot of people got.
Yeah, I think it's about putting people first. Yeah, because if it's all about you, then you're not really building a relationship. Yeah. It's got to be a two-way thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100% share energy.
So boarding school was good. I didn't get expelled, which was a miracle, but it was lots of funny stories there. And then I decided I didn't want to stay there for my A-levels. And my mum moved to London. Bless her.
How? Why?
She applied for a job to be head of under-5s for Kingston. Bear in mind, she was living in a house in Bootle. She became a social worker. So she...
How did she...
So she moved to London. She hadn't sold a house, so she got a bridge and loan. And she got a house in London. We went to London. And it all worked out. And she was doing loads of stuff at all the big places in London. Some of these GC things, and she was hosting.
So inspiring.
She's force for good. She is.
Yeah, it makes you gets you fired up. Don't you think I need to do more in my life?
I know.
Doesn't it?
I know. And it was for her. It was always about making a difference to others. And interestingly, obviously she's in a nursing home now. But about 5 years ago, when she lived in Formby, she set up a charity called Friends of Formby. Like when she was 75, because she felt lonely. She felt, wouldn't it be good if other people had visitors?
Yeah.
So she set up this charity, which is still running.
No way.
So that people got visitors.
I love that.
Everyone is, everyone's got a story, which is what you do on your podcast. And I just think if we can listen in, we can learn a lot.
Fucking hell. It's just, when I came into the franchise industry all them years ago, I learned all my lessons going through franchising, then kind of joined the BFA, and that's where it kind of, I really admire the BFA for that. I think a lot of people think the BFA should give you leads, and if you think that, then you're a bit of a dick. They're not there to generate leads for you. You need to do that yourself. The BFA, if you need an excuse to join the British Franchise Association, it's collaboration. It's getting to rub shoulders with other BFA members. That's what you're paying for. If you can't figure that out, then you're nuts. Yeah. Like, that is what you're paying for. You're paying to be in a group of people who are going through the same pain barriers as you, and sharing them pain, that story, helps you.
Exactly. And you can help them. And we grow a lot. Yeah.
So that's why I started the podcast, because I was like meeting people, I was like getting blown away by their stories, because I share, people share with me. And then you exchange energy, don't you? And like I meet you and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to get this lady on the podcast, because it's important that, and I've said this before and it's kind of a big statement, but if the franchising industry wants to get bigger in the UK, and it wants to be known as something that people aspire to do when they grow up, the fundamentals are that people like yourself need to be heard in there. It's the foundations of the franchise industry. It can't be a hidden thing anymore. The people in the franchise, and the problem is, you're like my mum, they don't like telling the story about themselves. You've got to drag it out of people sometimes, because what you do as a natural leader is tell everyone else to tell their story and push them and get them to achieve and stuff. But the problem is the foundations are built on the people that started it, the founders, the leaders in it. So I started like dragging these stories out of people of how they started it and get the journey. And hopefully, if you were ever thinking about being a franchisor, you might watch a couple of podcasts and be inspired to do it, and it will help you grow. And then watching them as you were growing your franchise network or being a franchisee even, them conversations will make you feel a bit more normal.
Definitely.
There's an analogy I always say, Sarah, is like, if you were on a raft, as you were on a boat and it crashed into the rock in the middle of the night, and it was freezing cold and pitch black, and the boat beat to pieces, and you're on this piece of wood in the freezing cold water, shivering, and you're going to die, it's pretty bad. It's like not much worse than that. But if you were in the boat on the raft with me, it won't be as bad. And it's that analogy, is being able to share other people's stories and hear them makes you feel better when things are a little bit tougher, and see other people's
100%.
getting.
100%. It's that, it's known that someone else has walked similar. Yeah. We're all unique. It'll never be the same, but there's a way of, you're not alone. Yeah. I think that's so important. Yeah. You're not alone.
I've been mulling this over so much recently. And there's a phrase in the be kind, and people always talk about it, but everyone is going through something. Everyone has got a problem. I know these are all really cliche things, but literally everyone has got a problem going on. Now, there's perspective, isn't there? Because some people's problems are much different than other people's problems, but it's still in their perspective, that is a problem. So if you can try your hardest to look after yourself and do your own self-care, go for a 5K run this morning before you come and do a podcast, so you've got loads of energy for the day. So then you don't project anything that's going on behind closed doors in your life, and it makes you a better person, doesn't it? And then it's that piece of work.
Because you can then give. Yeah. And I've looked a lot at happiness recently and different things, and I think it seems to be that service is ultimately how you find happiness. Yeah. And in order to do that, you do have to put your own oxygen mask on first. Yeah. You have to almost slow down and stop so that you can not just be on the hamster wheel, and have time to consider where you can make the best impact or the best difference. But when you're just busy being busy, you you haven't got capacity or time to be able to consider or give.
And you project.
Yeah.
You know it out, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Sorry if we're off on a tangent there.
It's all right.
So it's just wait.
I've watched your podcasts. I
know.
It's cool.
So sorry, but it's just sometimes you have to drill home the point, don't you, about something.
Yeah.
So
community.
Get back to mum. So where were we? Mum was.
So in East Roddick.
Yeah.
Really cool. I did my A-levels. Did really well at school. I liked school. I liked working hard. I liked playing harder. Always had a good time. And I didn't do as well in my A-levels as I thought I was. Played a bit hard, especially after convent boarding school.
Yeah.
I had a fantastic sixth form. And
is that because of boys, do you think so?
Might have been.
Yeah.
Alcohol
and boys.
Partying. Not having nuns chase me down a corridor with a stick saying, "Will you get to bed? Naughty, naughty girl."
Yeah.
That was nice.
You're going to bed for another reason, but
anymore. And I didn't know what to do. I really wanted to do. I didn't know what. I had no idea what to do. My mum said people always have to eat. My sister Fran was doing a degree in catering.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, and I think I want to do marketing or I don't know. Anyway, did a degree in catering and nutrition, and it was around the 80s. And I thought it was when it was the 80s, and it was around Live Aid, and it was nutrition and catering. I thought, well, it'd be really good to help make a difference in the with starving countries, and so I did the nutrition thing. And every year I'd save up money. I'd worked in a pub, did loads of jobs throughout poly, and during the summer I would go off travelling. I worked on a kibbutz.
What's a kibbutz?
It's a commune in Israel.
What?
Where everyone.
Why did you decide to go to Israel?
I don't know. I thought it'd be out there. And actually,
how old were you when you did this?
I was about 21, and about 4 months before my brother died, sadly. And I remember getting on the bus and waving my mum goodbye, and I thought, I'm never going to see you again. And it was like, because if you've experienced a bereavement, and obviously it was only 2 or 3 months later, 4 months later, and I just felt that there was death everywhere. My dad had died, my brother had died.
Your brother had died before you went, or after you went?
4 months before.
Before?
Yeah.
Why did your brother die?
He was a diver for the Royal Naval Reserves, and he had a weekend job, and in the morning they couldn't find him, and he'd gone out and fallen into the river, into the canal, and he was a lifesaver.
How old was he?
He was 27.
That's hard.
Yeah, lived around here.
Did you really?
Yeah. So it made certainly as a family, it made us really appreciative of each other.
Were you close to him?
Yeah.
Do you find it hard? Do you feel that that hard now still?
My eyes are going.
Yeah, I might get upset. I miss the special language that we had between us that no one else had. That's the hardest bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But appreciation of someone amazing in your life it was a gift to be a sister.
Yeah.
And he was funny as frogs. He was a love, and has meant that as a family we don't tend to argue. We never want to upset my mum again.
Yeah, bet.
So we get on well. We look out for each other. So going to Israel, I was like, it was a real proper bravery boots thing, because I thought.
Do you think that stemmed from your brother passing away and your dad passing away, and then also your mum, the island thing? Where do you think that came from? Where did that urge come from?
What, to travel?
Yeah.
So adventure's a big part of my life. I love, and adventure doesn't necessarily mean traveling. It means going for something, trying something, And I think it's probably because my mum always said, do what you want. It's like, well, I am. I remember when I lived in Bootle, a mate saying to me, "Oh, we might already know which boy we're going to marry." I was like, "No way, mate. I am not going.
Yeah.
I don't." And a mate of mine did, marry, have kids.
Straight away.
very young, and I was like, no, I am out of here.
Yeah.
Don't know where, but there's a world to explore, and I think my mum moving over and that sense of the world's your oyster. It's like, well, I'm gonna
Go and
see
what
what's
that
out
oyster's
there.
a bit like, yeah.
So I travelled a lot at Poly. I went to
What's Poly? You keep saying Poly.
University.
All right, okay.
Polytechnic.
All right, okay.
And then it became Huddersfield. I went to Huddersfield Poly.
All right, okay.
To do catering and nutrition.
So you travelled in the summers and just...
Yeah, went to the States, worked in Canada.
Wow.
Had 4 jobs in Canada for a while. Did telesales, cold calling. There was we used to sell for newspaper subscriptions.
No, advertising space is the toughest one.
So it was subscriptions for someone to buy the newspaper. So we sold for the Toronto Star and the other one. So the right wing and the left wing.
Were you good at it?
Well, we used to get like an extra $5 if we got a visa. Ding ding.
Yeah.
And we must have been good at it but we had a little technique, me and my mate. We'd ring them and they go, I don't want to sign up for that right wing so and so. So we'd make a note. And then when we'd go to our other job, we'd go, hi, it's Sarah again. I also work for the left wing. So you'd get a little banter with them. And they'd go, all right then. Or we'd say, we'll ring you later from the other paper. So we did well. I mean, we saved enough money to travel around America and we got down to
this week
Mexico.
bestie, was it, from uni?
With a good mate from uni, from Polytechnic. And I remember we came back to graduate and I'd put on like good stone and we waddled onto the stage. But my last year of uni at Poly, I knew at my heart I wasn't really catering, wasn't my dream.
Do you think that stemmed from a couple of other jobs that you'd been in and sort of?
No, I shouldn't probably have done catering anyway. No. I really wanted to do marketing. I probably should have changed course when I realised I was doing a catering degree. I was all about the nutrition. I wanted to, save the planet and make a difference. So I applied to go on Operation Rally, which it's like you raise money and you do charitable work. And I wanted to go to Africa, so this was a vehicle for me to go to Africa and try and make a difference and just see what it was like working in Africa. So I did this selection weekend and it was real hardcore SAS, up in the night, running, climbing. And I did this, you had to walk across the 2 wires, but there were too many people on the wires. So I fell off and I jumped back up and I carried on. And I thought, well, even if when I was getting ready for this, I thought, even if I'm going to do everything I can to get on it. Yeah. Because I really want to do this. Yeah. It's not, I'd like to, I really want to do this, so I'll do it. So I went running, I did exercises, and I wasn't ever particularly sporty. So I did it, I fell off, I had bruises everywhere, but I gave it my best shot, really gave it my best shot. At one point we were running like 2 a.m. in the morning and I was at the back and I was saying, come on team, we can do this. And they're going, you're at the back, Sarah? I was like, yeah, but we got it. Motivating other people is much easier than being motivated yourself, better at the back, I like at the back because you can see what's going on. Anyway, I finished the selection weekend. I think I was living in London with my mum at the time, so did my driving test on the Monday, failed because I couldn't reverse around a corner. You don't reverse around a corner these days. Anyway, my arm was sore, so I went to the hospital the next day. My mum said, I think you should go to the hospital. So I came back out of hospital with a big cast. I'd broken my arm.
No way.
I'd fallen off this thing. And then on the Wednesday, that's when I went to America and did some more work out there. And it was just a sense of energy. And I got a job in a catering company that I'd done a placement with. And I did really well in the catering. It was... But it just...
There's so...
It just wasn't
There's so many things I want to stop and talk to you about. It's so hard, isn't it, to try and pinpoint where I want to pick up on. So you did this course to go do the work in Africa, and then did you pass or not pass?
I got on.
You got on. But in the meantime, you decided to you went and got your arm emplast and then travelled to America to go and do catering.
Almost. So I did the selection weekend. Didn't know at that point whether I'd got on. And I went to the States to do some travelling.
No way.
And then I'd worked for a contract catering company while I was doing my degree.
That's hard work.
It's really hard work. But I ended up they offered me a job. So I thought, well, I'll do that. And one of the things with contract catering is at a really young age, the age of I think I was 21, I had staff. Obviously the contractor was my client.
Who were you working with? Can you remember?
Yeah, it was. I can't believe I can't remember.
Big orders though.
Oh yeah, it was one of the top 5. It wasn't Compass. It was. I can't remember. It'll come to me. It was one of the big contractors.
Yeah.
So we had different contracts, and
were you like doing orders and all that type of stuff? And
I was chefing as well.
Mate, that is Sarah.
I'm not a chef.
Contract catering at that level is
staffing,
tough.
Looking after customers, looking after obviously making sure your accounts. Also, each week you do your accounts, and it was manual there wasn't Excel spreadsheets.
How do you do all that?
You had to. You started early and you finished work late.
Yeah, you do.
So very young age, I had like a team and ran little businesses really. But what I found was, there's one place I went to. I was a relief manager at one point. I did quite well. So they'd send me.
Why do you think you did well in it? Why do you think? Is anything you can key points? I always try and scratch at the surface of this stuff because, like, learning about leadership and team building, motivating, they come from mistakes, don't they? They come from doing it wrong.
They do. I think it came from being able to chat to people, getting on well with the customers, listening to people, listening to the staff, looking after people. You already strike me as the type of person I know that you could probably have a conversation with anyone at any level and it wouldn't bother you. I feel like that. Yeah, I like.
Yeah, different people.
I prefer to be back of house, but I'm fine being in front.
Yeah.
So I do talks on stage, and that's quite good fun.
Yeah.
But I just think people are amazing.
Yeah. Take them on face value.
And should never be underestimated.
Yeah.
What people are and what they've done and what they're capable of as well.
So if you were in your 20s doing that, I know how hard contract catering is. You learn a lot of skills then, didn't you?
And there was one contract I had to run. Well, I went in as a relief manager. It was Waterloo Station. Their kitchens are underneath in the old tunnels. And I went in because it was the day the drivers were striking. So I had to drive in at like 5:30 in the morning. Got there, and the drivers were all like, yeah, we're ready to strike. Obviously, they wanted breakfast first. So I couldn't even find a light switch in the kitchen. I'm like, where's the light? Obviously, you don't have a torch then, do you? And because it was the strikes, there were no staff. The staff couldn't get in because the buses were mobbed. People couldn't drive in. I'd got in early. So I couldn't work out how to light the ovens. I was having to cook for like about 150 drivers. And they were like psyching themselves up for, striking and all of this. That was an interesting day in the office.
Fucking hell, I bet.
And eventually some staff came in because I didn't know how to work the till.
I always admire the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
I literally went to a hotel the other day and I shook the guy's hand because I got there and the whole key card system had gone down. So he was having to take every individual guest to the room.
Wow.
Big hotel, and I was thinking to myself, these are the things that people don't see in the hospitality sector, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like you doing that.
And what makes it work is when you get somebody who communicates to you. Like if you get stuck in the airport, when you get good communication and somebody's aware of how it feels for you, not for everyone, how it feels for you as an individual. It's like franchising. Yeah. Where you get that, everyone makes mistakes, but it's how that's dealt with. Yeah. That's where you get good customer service, I think. Yeah. So I recognised in catering that it wasn't really for me, because if there was a problem with the food, I couldn't remedy it. Oh, yeah. And every day, 12 o'clock deadline. In business you have deadlines, and sometimes you move them, but 12 o'clock, that's what happens. Yeah. So we taste the food, and sometimes I go, it's not quite right, and I didn't know how to fix it. So I always felt I couldn't really excel because I didn't have the full skill set.
Right, yeah.
I remember my boss, who's been an amazing mentor to me, Johnny Wilkinson. He not the rugby player. He said, Sarah, if you carry on like this, you too could be a regional manager. I was like, oh my God, I could. Yeah. And I don't want to.
Yeah.
I do not want to carry on this path. So I took a month off and I went to India by myself. I think I must have read in Anita Roddick's book that maybe she went. I thought, let's do that. So I wandered about India for a bit, and I just met my husband. Well, I didn't know he was going to be my husband. Just met Duncan before, and I remember when I got on a plane, I thought, oh, I hope I don't die, because I quite like to get to know. I like Duncan. I'd like to spend a bit more time with him. Random thought, and so I wandered around northern India, and rather than traveling loads of places, I sort of bedded down in northern India, and I learnt to paint, and I asked some guy to teach me to paint, and I started painting, and I just took some time out. I wanted to go to a Buddhist monastery there, but I didn't, and took some time out, and I came back and I thought, right, I gave up my job, resigned. I'd got a picture framed for 70 quid. It's still in me and Duncan's bedroom, and I thought I could frame. So I learned how to be a picture framer, and I contracted back to the catering company, and I thought, right, I'm going to set up. I wanted to spearhead creativity and business, but I didn't know how I was going to do that. So I'd done, and I'd learned quite a bit with the business side of catering, but the creativity side was all new to me. And so I started selling stuff at Camden Market. I used to make stuff from paper mache. I got a contract with Greenpeace to design their 20th T-shirt. Did a mural at Charing Cross Station. I just was on a making frenzy.
How did you get into stuff like that?
Just keep going. Knock down doors, ring people, pop round, have a chat, And I thought, well, I was looking out for what I could do, and I read a book called The Colour of My Parachute. I think it's still out there. And it was like, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you like doing. And I discovered a course called Arts Management. I thought...
Just roughly, how old are you at this stage?
Probably about 24.
You've already met Duncan at that stage? And
maybe 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're back in the UK at this point, aren't you?
Yeah, working in London.
Ditch the work for the contract company, ditch that.
Contracted back for 2-3 days a week, but charged them the same rate as I used to pay full time.
Wow.
Without the responsibility.
Wow.
Because they needed somebody, and I could do the job.
Yeah.
But
then you like the arts and crafts, and then you're gonna have to tell me how the Greenpeace thing came off. How did you do that?
I think I just knocked on the door, popped in, and I designed this T-shirt, and they said, "We love it, Sarah, but we don't do ducks." It was all animals on it, and I had a little duck. They said, "We don't do ducks," so I redid it without the duck. Who'd have thought Greenpeace don't do ducks?
So I didn't know.
Maybe they do now. Sorry, Greenpeace, if you're watching.
Where do you think you got that skill set from?
I always liked, actually when I was at Poly, I started painting, and I used to sell pictures at Poly. I've absolutely no idea.
Not done it.
Never really thought about it.
Yeah, it's like, where did that come from? And then also the sales side of it as well. So that you've got like that natural ability to talk to people and be able to take people on face value. Then you've obviously learnt a little bit about sales and knocking on doors, especially on that telesales bit. I don't know what else you did. And then you've got your creative aspect as well. It's interesting to see, because you can always see when you do these podcasts how people sort of fell into the different insignificances.
So I then moved into, I got a job. Oh, it was lovely actually. I got a Saturday job as a picture framer. And I had Saturday jobs as a kid, or as long as I could work. And having a Saturday job as a grown up was so much fun. It was like I was running the picture framing shop, but it was like just like being a kid in a sweet shop. It was like doing something that was not
stressful.
Just a bit fun.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Marlborough, and I got a job as a...
Who? You said we.
Me and Doug.
So you were together at this point?
Yeah. He got a job at... he was still in the contract company.
Right. So Duncan you met on the job?
Yeah, on the job. Yeah, he used to...
Doing the job on the job?
He used to play with pool with my sister.
Right.
And he was... we used to all go out drinking. And then all of our mates who weren't there, so we ended up going out a few times together, and we kind of got on and just went from there, really.
Is he still in that world now?
No, well, facilities. And I couldn't have done what I do now without his support. He is.
Is he? What was his background? Is he a chef by trade?
He did chef, yeah.
Yeah.
But management, he did really well. He went, you know.
I think you either stay as a chef, don't you, or you end up in going into contract catering in a big way, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You can.
So I mean, he can really cook.
Yeah.
His food's fantastic.
Yeah. So
really benefited there. Thanks, Dunk.
Yeah. But I just know a little bit about that world. It's such an interesting world.
And graft, you know.
Yeah.
And standards.
You become a businessman, not a chef.
Yeah. And standards. And I used to work at Regent's College on Friday. He'd take everyone down the pub and he'd buy everyone drinks. You know, he is still a real people person.
Yeah, yeah. I think you have to be in the hospitality sector as well, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly, because it's service.
Yeah, yeah. I admire the sector because of how many hours they work.
Yeah.
But I think anyone who comes from the hospitality sector have always got an amazing work ethic. Yeah. No matter what they do at whatever level.
Yeah.
To be able to continually keep that smile and deliver all the time, I always admire it. Because I spend a lot of time in hotels as well. You admire it even more, don't you?
And problem solve, because stuff always goes wrong.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily let
the customer know.
Your customers know. Just, you know, swan when the feet underneath.
Yeah.
So I got a job in like the faulty towers of picture framing in Pewsey in near Marlborough, and I was learning, and this 14-year-old lad was teaching me, and I loved that. I used to cycle there. I used to cycle all the time in London as well, so I like being physical and active. So
has that always been there, Sarah? Is that activity stuff? Has it always been a part of your life?
Probably since I left uni. I think I think I grew into me after I left poly.
Yeah.
I think I was I don't know.
You discover your identity probably travelling a little bit as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
You start unravelling yourself a little bit then, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I felt like I didn't grow up. I didn't really know who I was until I was about 30.
Yeah. Actually, a big part of my transition was when I got on the Operation Rally thing, went to Zimbabwe for about a year, did the thing for 3 months, and while I was there, I did my knee in whitewater rafting, so I was on crutches for a lot of the time, and I used to paint and make things, and somebody said to me, can you set up a local business? Can you help the local women run arts and crafts cooperatives? And I was like, oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing to support women to run their own creative business?
Yeah.
And I had no idea how to do that. Mm. And so, again, that sort of sat in the back of my head. Obviously, that's what I do now.
Yeah.
But these little seeds of that sit there, and it's common for like a lot of our franchisees. They've done lots of different things.
Yeah, kind of pulls you to that role. Yeah.
So I learned to frame, and that was good. My nickname was Smasher. I used to do the glass, and so we moved down to Devon. I did Duncan was amazing support. I did an arts foundation course.
Why did you move to Devon?
Duncan got another job at the uni there.
Right.
And obviously it was lovely. You know? Never been to Devon before.
Yeah.
Let's move there. So I did this art foundation course.
Is this coming up into your like late 20s now?
Yeah. And so Duncan was at work. I was making and selling stuff, but I was selling the stuff, but I was really lonely because I was just a little manufacturer in a little unit because I was still making and selling stuff. And I thought I'd rather make my art make a difference. I'd rather run like a workshop than sell because that seemed so just about the money, and it was never about the money. It was about the experience. So I went for a job as head of art at a disabled young adult centre, and they said, great, can you set up a dark room as well? I was like, for photography, I was like, yeah. And I was so tempted to run off and turn the light switch off. Then it's dark. So I didn't. I was like very, very responsible and mature. Of course I can. Start in a couple of weeks. So like, oh my God, I'd never even printed a photograph in my life. Didn't have a clue. So I looked in Yellow Pages, found somebody, paid them 25 quid an hour to teach me how to print photos. I found old equipment and bought it really cheap and learned how to print photographs. So I do the art, do photographs, and it was all young people with some form of disability. And there's one amazing guy, Barry, who extreme cerebral palsy. We got a little button on his head, on his wheelchair, so he could take the photograph by popping his head back. So we'd go around Exeter, and we'd go to the bin yards, where all the bins were, and he also liked graveyards. So we took lots of these photos, and we'd print them together. And because I could picture frame, I put on all these shows and galleries, and Barry had his work exhibited in the local council, because it was all bins and graveyards. And that was, and seeing...
That's insane, that, isn't it? Wow.
He was, seeing him, he was so chuffed. I was like elevating. It was lovely. So lots of that sort of
in my
random.
life, at some point, I'm going to jib off doing what I'm going to do and start doing something like that. I know I could get involved in something like that.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And all I was doing, so I wasn't teaching, I just facilitated. It was his ideas. And it is about recognising what people already have. It's not... And I think that about education, and my own 3 boys, which I'll get onto in a minute, but it's... We don't necessarily need to put things in. We need to let things come out. Because they will... Kids are amazing. People are amazing. So why are we trying to force all this stuff in? History and... not history, but everything that we think everyone needs to learn, when I think they need to know how to problem solve, because the problems of the future aren't going to be solved by what created them in the first place. We've got to come up with new solutions and give people confidence.
That creative environment, or that safe space for people to allow to be creative.
Yeah, and safe to make mistakes.
Make mistakes and not be so critical if they do make mistakes, or just let's work forward for it.
Yeah. So I love doing that. That was really good fun. And I was pregnant with Sam, and suddenly I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. And what was handy was the centre I worked in was all wheelchair friendly. So that was cool. So I just went in and worked in my wheelchair.
Pregnant?
Yeah, it's quite handy.
Is it just because of your hips, or was it?
Yeah. So it's like having sprained ankles.
Right.
So
is it a common thing with pregnant women? Or?
Yeah, to different levels.
Is it?
Happened to it with the second one. And the third one, it happened before the pregnancy test said I was pregnant.
Bloody hell.
So and I had 2 others, obviously. So it was a bit tricky. But that was all right. But it did allow me to go to all these different places. I did feel like a kangaroo tied down. I did a lot of sitting.
Yeah, I bet.
And you find the best of what you've got. You know, the drive to do, to get on Operation Rally was, I'm going to do everything within my power to do this. And therefore, if I don't make it happen, it actually doesn't matter, because I've done everything I can. And that's helped me with any sort of goal or any drive.
Where do you think that comes from? Can you pinpoint why that drive that ability to say that I'm going to get... Do you ever think that hard about it, or is it just that... It's mad, isn't it, self-belief?
Yeah.
You just fucking have it, don't you?
Yeah, I think you work on it as well.
Yeah.
Certainly in the last few years, we talk about oxygen masks and all of that. But this was before. I think because it's fun. It's actually quite fun to put yourself out there and just challenge yourself, you know. And extending that comfort zone is where the sort of excitement happens.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I like
having that appetite for movement or growth or doing different things. It doesn't always have to be travelling to Zimbabwe and America. No. It can be just an appetite for something and not being completely satisfied with what you're doing. But then there's also another side of me that, like, it's okay to be satisfied with what you're doing, but I just always try and, like, I have something inside me and I don't know what it is. I think it's from my dad, where I'm just like fucking continuously wanting to just keep not going to stop. It's just a bit like that. It's weird, isn't it? I don't know where it comes from.
I think, it's curiosity. It's weirdly, there's a parable in the Bible. I don't practice, but we were brought up Catholics.
Yeah. And
there's a parable that talks about the 3 talents, and the parents gave one son something, and he buried it. Another son something else, and he did something else with it. And the third one went on, and it blossomed and used it. And it's like, if I've been fortunate enough to have the ability to do something, well, I don't want to just bury it. I need to
go and do it.
Use it as a force for good.
Yeah.
And I think it's my duty to honour all those people who've helped me out, to do the best that I can. It's getting quite deep, but that's, I think, fundamentally, it's wanting to make a difference.
Yeah. Said that a few times now, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think it's a core belief of yours, isn't it?
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might as well, mightn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Might as well. Don't know how long we're here for.
Yeah, no.
Make the most of it.
I love the fact you've had 3 boys as well. I can tell that by you talking to me as well. You can just deal with boys, men. Like, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, they are. They're amazing.
Yeah.
They know more about my business and the journey. So I haven't got a board. I've got Duncan and I've got my 3 lads. So they helped me start it. You know, all of the sessions. Obviously, when we started with kids, we do, you know, up to 104 years old. I think is our oldest customer now. They've been right there, and you know, when I've had challenges, I'll be very blunt with them. They've seen my accounts. I'll ask them about it. And what I really like about talking to them is they have a very different perspective.
Yeah.
You know, and they will just say it straight. Why are you doing that? I don't understand. Why would you do that? Or have you thought about this? And they've just got a real different perspective on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And from that, of course, they've got an awful lot of
what do they do
themselves.
for jobs now, I'm 3?
So Sam is currently doing a doctorate in offshore energy.
Fucking hell.
We went up to he's in Edinburgh at the moment. The Edinburgh Festival. Have you ever been?
No.
Talk about creativity on steroids. It's packed. It goes on for a month, and there's every type of performance and the artwork and all the posters.
One for the Dairy K.
It's amazing, and everyone's there to see these amazing creative performers, and it's fabulous. But where can you go to learn to be creative?
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't.
No.
And LinkedIn said it was one of the top things that they were looking for when they recruit people, but you can't. So we need to get it on the agenda. So anyway, Sam, we went up there with Sam, and he's having that's what I was going to say. So I was at his place at the weekend, and his whiteboard next to his computer got all his gobbledygook all over it. You know, all of the Pythagoras and other things, clever things. I did do A-level maths, but I don't recognise any of it. So he is really good at problem solving. Yeah. And he also started painting.
No way.
Ironically, but he really likes that flow and stuff he gets into. Ollie is middle one. Ollie is working for helping sustainable businesses grow in Europe. So he's been out in Berlin, Germany. He's probably moving to Portugal in a few weeks. And he said to me, I just want a life of adventure. I was like, oh my God. I think you might have heard that from me.
Yeah, I see some similarities here.
I know. And he's about businesses for good.
Yeah.
Business for good. And Josh is at Birmingham Uni doing engineering, and he's just got a placement in Ernst & Young, accountancy company in London.
Right.
Near where we met.
Yeah.
The Tower of London.
Tower Bridge, yeah.
And he's got a placement doing technology. So
all very intelligent lads, aren't they?
they've all done really, really well in school, uni. They've all smashed. I think they all got A's for A-level.
Great.
And I've never nagged them once to do any homework. So I've been really lucky.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
Because I've just let them get on with it. You know, like.
Nice relationship with all of them, have you?
Amazing.
Nice.
Oh, and when we all get together and the 3 of them, it's
banter.
It's buzzing.
Yeah.
It's such a privilege to know them, to be honest.
And they all got girlfriends and stuff, or?
Yeah, they're doing good.
Yeah.
They're doing good. I get girls in my life now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was going to say that's what I was trying to get into.
Yeah.
Is there a Sunday roast now and again that goes down at your house?
Duncan just looks after all the food.
Yeah,
I do occasionally.
Yeah.
And then he just takes over.
Do all you get round with the girlfriends at the same time sometimes?
Yeah, we get together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's mental.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
Yeah, yeah. Proper board meetings then.
Oh yeah. Although I find that it's not good to talk to business all the time when the girls are there.
Yeah.
So I've learned.
Yeah. But they don't like it sometimes.
So, but because what we do now at Creation Station is so much more than I ever thought. So I started it 2000.
Because you took creatives on that took it bigger than you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, when I started in 2002, the creativity was like, I think people thought of it as arts and crafts, painting and sticking. Yeah. Whereas it's, it helps well-being, mindfulness, such a great skill to develop at school because you can learn science and maths by being creative.
Yeah.
So we do lots of after-school clubs. We do loads of holiday camps. We obviously do the preschool stuff and mums and babies and all that bonding. We also do teenage workshops. We do a lot of adult workshops, and paint nights, creative crafts. We're about to launch a whole new part of our business in that area.
Do you do corporate stuff, Sarah?
We do creative minds for companies, where it's team building. I did an event for NHS staff recently.
Would you do them for franchise conferences?
Yeah.
Might do one for ours.
I've done them a couple of times.
Yeah.
And we'll tailor the activities to suit.
It just might be quite cool for a team building one for us.
It is, and it's amazing. People bring out their creative flair, and there's a huge amount of talent. And because we don't say this is what you have to do, it's very much open-ended. It depends on the challenge, but people can get really creative.
It's just we've got our conference coming up, and the first one we've actually, because business is quite tough at the minute in our sector, they're like the marketplaces, we've just said there's no conference, we're going to do business development all day. So we're just going to meet up, get the phones out, overcome objections and come up with some mindset and just going to hit the phones as a franchise network in the same room at the same time.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we've never done anything like that before. I was like, we're going to strip it right back. Yeah. And we're all going to come over objections together.
Focus on what?
But what we're going to do is, I've got a coach coming at the same day, Ali, who's amazing. So we're going to do conference, 2 weeks later do a Zoom, and then do another conference 4 weeks later. So make them accountable.
Yes.
And then come up with get over it. But I think the second conference would be quite cool to do something that's nothing to do with what we've done, almost like a sense of achievement. So it might be quite cool to do half a day creative stuff and just like take the unshackle everything so everyone gets to know each other a bit better.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Something like that.
I was on the board. I was privileged to be on the board of the BFA for 2 terms, and at one of the, it was lovely seeing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I applied for it, but I didn't get it.
You realise the passion and the care for not just franchisors but franchisees and the whole sector. Yeah. And I did a brainstorming session with the board. So we had the tunes on. I said to Ken, we'll get people dancing. He went, I don't know about that, Sarah. Don't know if you'll get them dancing. Yeah. And and the ideas were flowing. Yeah. And it's a very quick way of getting a lot of there's one activity that we do. Quick way of getting loads of ideas together. Everyone has their voice heard. Because normally in brainstorming, people don't want to say anything stupid. Yeah. Quiet people who often have some of the best ideas because they're observing all the time. Yeah. Brought all these ideas together and then did a focus session on which ones we're going to focus on. So yeah, love to.
Yeah, I think I might do that. I'll come back to you about that one, but I'll speak to Ali about it. I think that's a good idea. It would. I think it'll be. One of the franchisees, she was the chief exec of a dance and drama and creative charity. I know Leslie, but for some, got a couple. I know a couple of creatives already within the franchise industry, in the franchise network, and we need to pull them all out, don't we?
Yeah. Because over the years with the business, obviously, peaks and troughs. We've looked at how we can make a difference when we haven't always got the cash. Yeah. But ultimately, we always try and do something every year. So and also talking about failure. One idea I had ages ago was we could do an art box to help promote the franchise. How do we look like a bigger business? How do we get in everyone's psyche so that they know about Creation Station? Because the marketing of what we do is really important. It's not just one-off marketing. You've got to keep in people's periphery, I suppose. Yeah. So we decided to launch a fab box, fun arty box. Big, I ordered 10,000. I like the number 10,000. Don't know why. I should have learnt by now. But anyway, 10,000, outsourced it, created all the programs, all the products. I went on holiday we travel a lot with the kids. I think we were off to Nepal, trekking or something. Outsourced it all. I think we sold about 300. So we had like a lot of boxes.
Yeah, nothing.
And I decided the logistics behind doing an art box subscription was not our skill set. So we decided to stop that after about 8 months. And I had all these boxes. And we've outsourced our warehouse now, but we had to have our own warehouse. So I wanted to make sure any products that we delivered in a workshop, we checked the health and safety, the risk assessment. We knew what was happening in our activities and workshops. So for years, everyone would say, "Can't you throw these boxes out?" So they're just gathering dust on, half the side of the warehouse. It's like, no, I'm not throwing them out. I'm just not throwing them out. And of course, during lockdown, we pivoted very quickly, but we also supplied all of the boxes to the network. So we went from like 12 orders a day from our warehouse, because we generally just support the franchisees, to over 100 boxes a day. And these little art boxes we would send to our franchisees. They'd make them up with a kit for the terms workshops, and then they'd send them to the kids. So I did get rid of 9 that they worked. But it's that expression to fail at first attempt at learning. Yeah. It doesn't matter, because you learn something else.
It is so true. The learning that you go through failing is massive.
Yeah.
Can I just scrape it back a little bit, because we lost our way a little bit? We first pregnant with Sam, moved to Devon because Duncan got the new job, did the framing, and then how did Creation Station come together? I just didn't catch that. How did that form? Then how did that get into franchising? How did you learn about franchising? Just talk us through that.
So 3 kids,
wheelchair, babies,
couldn't walk, and went a lot to classes and thought, there's nothing creative. So started running the classes in my house. We don't do that now. Well, we do adult stuff in houses, actually. Still breastfeeding Josh. So a mate of mine had Josh. Jackie had Josh for like 2 hours. So I'd make sure I had breast milk for him. Sam and Ollie would help. And we'd run the workshop in the house. I've got quite a big house, so we had a little workshop there. And just started learning. All I needed to do was bring in enough money for like the food,
shopping,
groceries, So Duncan was, I was very, very fortunate. I didn't have to go out and earn.
Well, if he was doing what he was doing, it's a good job, isn't it? So,
he was doing great.
Yeah.
And so slowly that's...
A lot of hours, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was long hours.
Can I scrape on that a little bit? How did you cope with that, all right? Or?
I looked after the kids and he brought in the money.
Yeah, I always think about that, because obviously I'm away a lot. I've got 2 kids, and Charlene puts up with that, and sometimes I can see the stress in that. Sometimes you cope okay.
Yeah, I just think I was exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just celebrated 26 years together. Although we forgot what day it was, so we celebrated the next day because we both forgot. That's love, isn't it?
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
No.
You don't need to put a picture on Facebook for that one. I always think that. But yeah, no.
So grew the business. Well, started running the classes, learning. I just wanted to learn. I spoke to specialists, education specialists. Spoke to everyone else. I used to get frustrated that I don't know what I don't know. Yeah. That used to really annoy me. Yeah. Whereas now I see it as an opportunity. Like there's a whole world of stuff that.
How do you learn, Sarah? Do you talk or read, or what? How do you get knowledge in?
So I obviously run and walk a lot. Mm-hmm. So podcasts, books. I've got books next to my bed, and I've got books in different rooms. So it depends how I'm feeling. Sometimes I read a novel, not very often. I really like biographies. Yeah. I'm fascinated.
That's why I like podcasts.
Yeah. And because you can find a podcast for virtually anything now, can't you? Yeah.
And they're like books, you can pick them up and put them down.
Yeah. And you can do it while you're doing something else. So I run with the dog, listen to a podcast. I also ask people questions. I will approach people and say, "Oh, have you done that?" I'll also try things out and just see how I get on. Yeah. And then I think for us, it's not about perfection. It's about great enough and 1% improvements. So do something, we do it really well, and then what one thing could have made that better?
Yeah.
And most people, if you ask them for feedback, will say, "Oh, it was great." But if you ask them that question, what one thing would have made that better for you? They can generally think of one thing.
Yeah.
And that is a free consultation, isn't it? That helps you improve. Even with complaints, a complaint is an opportunity for you to get a lot better.
Yeah.
And often turn that customer around to be a raving fan.
Yeah.
We've got, I think it's almost about 9,500 five-star reviews. So we're the most recommended children's activity provider in the UK.
No way, amazing.
And that was just an idea. I was like, well, how do we... Obviously, I want to be the number one.
Yeah.
That's what... I want our franchisees to be... I think they're the number one anyway.
Yeah,
but I just want to evidence that they're the number one. So how do we do that? 'Cause number one... So how do you prove you're number one? It's like, well, how about... I had that question, and I saw... It was YouMove, actually. When you learn from other sectors, obviously YouMove's a franchise for a estate agency, and they were doing reviews, Justice reviews, or Trustpilot reviews. I thought, well, if I got more than anyone else, then we could officially be number one.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was about 4 or 5 years ago, and so we are, which means that the franchisees are, because it's all about how do we help franchisees do what they do really well. They are phenomenal at delivering the experiences, the engagement with kids and adults, care homes, and so that gave them an extra sales tool, an extra marketing edge to them. Another way we support our network is we've basically got an events company. So we pitch for events. So we're at Carfest. We did 2 weeks at the big Westfield in London. We ran their kids zone for 2 weeks during half term. We do corporate events. We've done Tinder events for Tinder.
No way.
So
just I'm going to stop you.
I keep that going on.
I'm going to grab your back there. It's my job. So you started in the front room.
Yeah.
And
back room, actually, but same thing.
Back room. You started up there, and it was called Creative Station then.
It was called Creative Kids for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then I learned that you should trademark, or you should register a business. And we actually moved to Loughborough, and somebody wanted to buy the business that I knew, said, I want to buy what you're doing, I like it. I was like, oh, it's not ready. Yeah. If someone's going to buy this and do it, it needs to be spot on.
Yeah.
And I remember before we left the house in Devon, I'd seen...
Is it because Duncan got another job again?
Got another job.
Yeah.
I'd seen Tumble Tots and I'd seen Joe Jingles, and I thought, I was getting people to ask me, they because it would be flexible around their own kids or family. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to have 20 franchises.
And did you know about franchising then? Who taught you about that, Sarah? How did you find out about that? Can you remember?
Didn't have a clue.
No.
At that stage. But I knew Tumble Tots and Joe Jingles. I thought, if they've done it, I could do that.
You can do that.
It was 10 actually. I wanted 10.
Yeah.
And I remember I literally had my hand on the island table. It's like, I'm going to get 10 of these creation stations around the country. And we ended up moving, and I didn't sell because obviously nowhere near ready. Moved to Loughborough.
And learn about the trademark and that.
Yeah. And I remember being in Loughborough next to the washing machine and the dryer, thinking, well, I can't trademark Creative Kids because it was gone. So, bottle of red wine, a big black marker, and Company's House, I think it was. I spent a night, the 3 of us, and I came up with the word Creation Station. And I remember printing it off, kissing the envelope, putting in the letterbox to get the trademark and all of that, and register the company name. Yeah. And I got it.
Amazing. Becca.
And that, it only took me like 5 minutes to post a letter.
Yeah.
But it was like a lifetime of...
Yeah.
And of course with Creation Station, we inspire imagination, nurture potential. And that is a real lovely umbrella for all of the different sub-brands that we do, and sectors and scale, scope, and everything that we do.
It's the same with Tezlom. You can do anything we want with it.
Yeah.
You can do anything with that Creative Station, can't you?
And one of the things that I'd say fundamental to the success of Creation Station, absolutely 100% fundamental, is we wrote down the 6 core values. Duncan said to me, if you're setting this business up, you need to have some core values.
Yeah.
And this was back when, 21 years ago, when people didn't really, I'd never thought of that.
Yeah. He'll have had it drilled into him, though, from his role, won't he?
Yeah. So we did, and they're still the same. 21 years later.
Do you know him?
Of course I do.
You do? Do you know him? I don't know mine.
We live and breathe them. So inspire imagination. Is allow people to think, connect, have fun. Inspire imagination. I say that, I might not be able to. Nurture potential. Nurture creativity. Be creative. Spark curiosity, which is let's get people asking questions. Let's not tell them what they're going to do. Let's see what they do. Let's go on a journey of exploration and discovery and see what they come up with, because they've got their own ideas. Let's get their ideas together. Let's not tell them what they're going to do, because they're amazing. Give care, because we say it's not what we make, it's how we make people feel. Yeah. And that's what makes a difference. And our logo is actually a big hand and a little hand. It was the picture of Sam's hand. He was a little one to start with, Sam and me. But I didn't want it just to be a handprint. I wanted it to be about connectivity and connections and collaboration. So that's the logo. So give care, ensure quality, 100%. Don't do anything if you're not going to do it good. And the last one, which right now is probably my favourite, is have fun. Yeah. Because you learn when you're having fun. Yeah. You know, everyone feels a bit better. The whole well-being and joy is so important in life.
I think that stems into, like, in the workplace environment, by having a laugh. Yeah. If you have a laugh while you do,
which you do hear in bucket loads, don't you?
Yeah. Totally. So having a laugh makes you learn while you do the job. If it's all like intense, even if you love what you're doing, it's still intense. Kind of. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And that. And you know what? Well, anyone who's watching this who runs a business knows it's really hard sometimes. Yeah. You know, and for all sorts of reasons, personal, family, business.
The whole thing's combined, and if you try and separate the two, you can't really.
Yeah.
You need to accept that it's together.
So earlier on this year, when my kids were little, although it's hard running a business with kids, it makes you stop. So I found it useful. I didn't always like having to stop, because I like running a business, but I also wanted to prioritise my kids so that they could I never felt I had prioritised the business over them.
I go through that all the time.
They are obviously my world, and so...
I had 20 seconds. I'm going to stop you. This morning, Logan asked me if I was taking him to kids club, because I'm not took him yet all the summer holidays. I've not had a day off with them. The summer holidays I've worked all the way through, and they've been going to different, 40 quid a day as well, so it's a fortune. Yeah. But he was dressed as a Flash this morning, and he sat on the top step and asked me if I was taking him. I said, I've got to go to work, mate. I'm going for a massage this morning. And I just sat for a bit longer than I should have done, because I thought, no, I'm just going to capture this moment. But it's that work that's hard, I think, sometimes when you're growing a business and having kids and having to stop and spend a bit of time with them. And I've got a post bubbling for social media because he's dressed as the Flash. Nice. And I was saying, don't let your life go past you in a flash without spending a bit of time with your kids.
That's good.
Yeah, because you do regret it sometimes.
You do. And I wasn't always, you do the best you can, and you're never going to be as good as you would like to be as a parent, I think, but you just do the best. I remember one day Josh said it was pyjama day. So we went in pyjama. It wasn't. Another time he said it was dressed up as a fairy.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was. So I made everything obviously pink and things, and he was really chuffed. It was fairy tales. So he was a fairy. One time I dropped him off at rugby, thinking, I'll do that, back in the day. And it wasn't on, and he was sat there in the rain for like 3 hours.
Yeah, we've done the whole drop them off at nursery, and it's dress up day, and you've not dressed them up. Yeah.
Well, at least it's better than going to school in your pyjamas when it's one thing not being dressed up, but dressed up when no one else is. A little bit not so good. Yeah. Because busy but I've done the best I can.
Yeah,
and I think that's the most important thing.
I think they're doing okay, aren't they?
I think they've done all right.
I feel like though there's a stage as well where you can't really have any more impression on your kids as well. Though I think there's also that side of it.
It's a friendship now. Yeah. It's a co-support team.
Yeah, I think you're very lucky to still have that. I think it's not everyone's like that either with the families. I know I'm still lucky. I've only got my mum, but I know I'm lucky to have that relationship with my mum.
Yeah, and I think because we suffered loss, we also had a suicide in the family. And
who was that?
I'm not going to talk about that if you don't mind.
It's just fun, cool.
Yeah, but we certainly learned to appreciate each other, and
the little things don't matter as much anymore. Things don't seem to matter as much anymore.
You prioritise what's important.
Yeah.
But
you end up doing it for other people as well, trying to teach other people that as well. Like, just don't get as bothered about that anymore.
Yeah. And earlier this year, obviously when the kids were little, in fact, I seem to still spend a lot of time doing stuff for my kids. I'm moving one of them to London next week, and because I can, and they're the top of my trade. They're the most important, and they know that. They know they're the most important.
But it's Sarah, at the same time, your life is filled with a purpose as well elsewhere, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. I always. Do you feel like this? You might disagree with me, so it's cool if you do. But like making your kids your sole purpose, I think is a dangerous game. I don't know if you disagree with me.
I do. No, I agree.
Yeah, like I feel like they grow up and you want them to be independent, don't you?
Yeah, fly.
Yeah, let them fly. And I think if you've made them, how do you inspire them to do that if you've not done it yourself?
And as and when they do leave, you're left.
Nothing.
Yeah. I know empty nesters, when they left home, I felt like, I'd had them ripped out of my arms as a babe.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But I also know I've got my life, and my life is not my kids. I'm there to support them and let them be the amazing individuals.
And they've all been inspired by it in a little different way as well.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, I know that. But because running the business, I no longer had that same pull to stop. I just work. Love what I do. But then, of course, you can work too much. And I felt like sometimes I just filled every single moment of my waking, breathing, every moment in the shower, going for a run. And I had a few health scares earlier on in the year, not serious, but I thought, if you don't slow down your brain and think about something else, because at the weekends, I almost would go, what do people do when they're not working? I didn't even know what to call them not working.
Yeah, no. But, right, okay, you've been successful financially with the business and the growth of it. And I know what you're saying now, but it's only because you've learned it. Like, I feel like people, Stephen Bartlett, for instance, does a big podcast, and he often posts about, like, he talks about how he was embarrassed, how he used to talk about working every hour that God sends, and sometimes it's a toxic trait and stuff like that. But I kind of say he had to learn that lesson. Like, I feel like you have to do a bit of it to get where you want to be, to be able to preach about it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know about preach, but what I decided to do, I was mindful of it, and I've only really learnt what mindful is because I didn't really know what it was. I was aware of it. So it was in my head. It's one of those things, a bit like the chocolate. It's like, I need to look at happiness, or look at whatever it is. I mentioned happiness already. So I was listening to a few podcasts. I read Jay Shetty's book on happiness, and this word Buddhism or meditation started popping up. And thought, maybe I'll do a Buddhist day or something. So I Googled to see what it was. And walking down the beach, very lucky to live near the beach in Exmouth, and there was a woman I'd used to see occasionally, got a gorgeous little dog, lockdown dog, Luna. Seen this woman a few times. We'd always had a little chat. She walks fast, which is great. I like to walk fast. And I'd only met 2 or 3 times. I was chatting to her one morning, and she said, "Oh, you won't believe what I'm doing at the end of May." I said, "What are you doing?" She went, "I'm going to a Buddhist monastery." I was like, "Can I come?" And she's like, "Yeah, if you want." I was like, "Great." She said, "I've got a double room. We can share." I was like, "Great." Thinking, "Oh, I don't know you. Maybe we'll get a separate room." So we went back home, looked it up. It's called Thich Nhat Hanh. I can't remember the name of it. Thich Nhat something or other. Plum Village in France. So I went on, booked it up, and it was either share 8-room or 2-room. It's like, well, I'll go with 2-room.
Yeah.
And I met her. I said, booked it. Met her next week for a quick walk. And I said, well, obviously, if we don't get on, it doesn't matter because we're not mates anyway. We're not losing anything. So, before I booked it, I did message Duncan and say, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? He thinks I booked it anyway, but I did message him. Anyway, I went away for a week with a random stranger I met on the beach. And went to a Buddhist monastery.
You definitely booked that before you asked him, but go on.
Went to this Buddhist monastery. I'd never meditated before, had no idea. And as I was getting close...
How long ago was this?
May.
May.
And we're in August now.
Yeah.
So a couple of months. And as it was getting closer, I just wanted... As I was getting closer, I thought, well, I can still be on my phone, can't I? I can be on my phone in the evening. I'll be fine. And I wasn't bothered about... It was more about not being on my phone, not looking at emails. And I've got an amazing team. I don't need to be on my phone.
Yeah.
It's a bit like having a box of chocolates, just looking in and eating, you know. I like seeing what's going on. Yeah. I like the buzz. There's always something cool going on. There's always something that's, you know, interesting, and you know, there's always stuff happening. It's really cool, and I like it. I like the buzz of it. So I was really worried about not having my phone. I wasn't worried about whatever we had to do there. You know, it'd be fine. And I got there, and I said to the team, I'm not going to open any emails, and they were like, great, fine. So you'll be fine. So I got there. For the whole week, I didn't think about work once. I didn't think about work. I got up at 5, meditated. We did a mindful walk, which basically, being mindful, I'm sure everybody knows it, but I only learned it, is just basically, my husband's been mindful all his life, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Whereas I normally do about 5.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing the dog, I'm running. I often send emails as well that I'll do an audio note on, and I'll chat to people. You know, I pack as much in as I can.
Yeah. Just slowing right down.
It's just stopping, which is not in my nature.
Same.
Because I like buzz, but I also have found if you get up early, you've got like a whole section of your day. And I wrote a book in that time as well, getting up really early a couple of years ago, and I've really, at the end of this Buddhist monastery week, I had this amazing, serene sense of joy. I can't really put it into words. I just felt absolutely amazing.
From pressing pause.
Yeah, and just, it's the whole I do gratitude and all that stuff, but it was just, I still get goosebumps about just feeling, about being properly kind to myself. Yeah. And it felt selfish. Yeah. But of course it isn't, because you need that.
But you can't pour from an empty cup, can you? So it probably needed. Yeah. It's interesting. There's a couple of things I need to talk to you about. The team thing, and the position you've put yourself in. You've obviously got yourself into a position. I've tried to get myself there. Sometimes I get dragged back, but I've probably not been doing it long enough just yet. Is that having an amazing team around you, but you putting yourself in a position where you're not hands-on day to day. So then what happens is it gives you that helicopter view, and then that helps the business grow and you help the individual grow. Do you think you're there?
100%. Not always. Yeah. Obviously, I was pre-COVID. Yeah. COVID, obviously, you had to let everyone go, and gave franchisees free period of didn't pay anything.
The whole thing they're paying for.
I'm almost there. There's bits that I kind of probably still don't want to let go. But yeah, I'm definitely. In fact, I've got another holiday going whitewater rafting in Bali in a couple of weeks.
No way.
And we've got some really exciting things happening at work at the moment. So I was going to cancel my holiday, and the team said, "Don't cancel your holiday, Sarah." And Ruth, who lives in Spain, she's the next franchisee. She said, "We want your best bits. You bring your best bits when you have a break. Yeah. You come back and you're on. I'm on it when I come back, because I've had a break. I'm like back on it. And holidays, probably like you, give me space to think."
See, I'm in a different place than you at the minute, holidays. But I need to get to that though. But I'm in a weird space with it at the minute. Last time I went on holiday, I fucking hated being away. I wanted to get back to work as soon as possible. I really hated my holiday. I'm not going on holiday now deliberately, but I know what you mean.
It is the top view. It's where's the business going?
Yeah.
And when you're in it, you just can't see it.
Yeah. The thing is there's that's leadership. What we're talking about at the minute is getting yourself into that power scale, that view that you can do that. Yeah. And then what happens is you grow the business and then you help other individuals grow because you can see what they're doing, and that's it. But what a lot of businesses unfortunately do, small businesses, they never get themselves into that situation. So they're working like a dog, the team's working like a dog, and there's no pathway for them to get to where they want to go. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes you need to get yourself in that position so you can help the business grow itself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Busy being busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you've had a mad life, you, Sarah. I love it though.
Just starting.
Yeah.
Starting. Yeah. It's good though. It's about enjoying it. Like, I got out of catering because I didn't think I could excel in it in the way I wanted to, and I wasn't really enjoying it. I remember being at a tube station once, and there was a sign for like all these catering courses. I was like, God, who'd want to do that? And I was like, I'm doing a catering course.
Yeah.
And it was the nutrition, and like I thought I'd work in the UN or do some global thing to make a difference to someone through food and nutrition. And the time I spent in Zimbabwe, I realised that I don't even know the answers. I didn't even know the questions. And the more I learned, the more I realised that I'm scratching at the surface. There's a lot more to learn. There's a lot more to grow and experience. And
still is loads, isn't there?
Yeah.
Can I go and do the formal route? I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Just maybe one question. If you were at a meeting for the British Franchise Association and I asked you, what if someone was thinking about buying a franchise, not particularly a creative station, but if not buying a franchise, what do you think they need to know? What do you think, what skills do they need? What do they need to know before they go into business or buy a franchise? What advice would you give them?
I think they need to look at themselves first, and look at going back to that book I read, what they're good at, what they like doing, what they don't like doing, why are they doing it, why do they want to run a business, understand themselves first, because running a business it's hard work. It doesn't matter what business it is, franchise or not, and firstly understanding themselves more. I think then identifying what type of work they want to do, because often when you're certainly launching a business and running a business, you're doing the do. Yeah. You're not necessarily doing the management at that stage. And I think sometimes people want to come into our world, Creation Station, and just manage it. It's like, you need to know the ropes.
Yeah, you need to do the job.
You've got to do the job. Yeah. You've got to do the work. So what type of work do you want to be doing, and what do you want? What will make you proud? What's important to you? Some people love animals. Some people love kids. Some people love old people. Some people aren't bothered about that. Just want to grow a team and turn over like 2-3 million in the first few years. So people have different drivers. So I think people need to understand what it is they want to achieve.
Yeah.
Write that down. Then that'll give them a better steer of what sector to look at, what type of franchises. I think understanding the franchisor, what their values are.
Yeah. Who are you going to be working with?
Yeah. Who are going to be your peers? Because one of the lovely things about franchising is you get your own territory, so it's non-competitive. It's absolutely collaborative, because it's in everyone's interest for you to do well.
Yeah.
And just if you're the right, running a business is, we've had people come into our business, done really well, but they really want to be an employee.
Yeah.
Because they like doing the do.
Yeah. And
they don't necessarily like the business,
the hard bits.
The market, the business and growing. Some people thrive on that bit because they can control how much income. They can scale up when they want to. They're totally in control of their hours, and they can flex as much as they want to. So I think it comes down from what's important to you, and then identifying the franchisor that aligns to your value, because it's a long-term partnership.
Yeah.
And we award our franchises, we don't sell them.
Yeah.
So for us it's the same for us, we only award our franchise to 2% of people who inquire.
Wow. I don't know my percentages. It's So I kind of stemmed that question back because I did a discovery day this week, and we hadn't had we usually have 2 or 3 meetings before we do a discovery day, but we hadn't because this girl, we couldn't get hold of her, and she, because of her job, she was in Dubai and blah blah blah. Anyway, it came to it, and one of the first things, she sent a big email like literally the night before asking about EBITDA and all these type of things and projections and stuff like that. And I was like, she come in and I was like, I'm going to be dead straight with you. This piece of paper with all these questions on are completely and utterly irrelevant. And she was like, why, blah blah blah. And I was like, because if you don't fundamentally love what you're going to do, it's fucking irrelevant to what all this is, because you need to understand that you've got to love the job that you're doing, then you're going to teach people to do it, and then you're going to grow it and guide people to do it. And if you don't love what you're doing, the EBIT, you won't make any money.
Yeah.
So it's irrelevant what the profit margin is. It's irrelevant how many customers we got. It's irrelevant. None of that's relevant until you completely understand what you want to do and if you're going to be passionate about it. And that point, then we start from there.
Yeah. You said it more succinctly than me. Yeah. Got to love what you do.
Yeah, got to love what you do.
Because you're going to be doing it.
Well, it's like a job, isn't it? If you get a job and you hate your job, you shit at it, you don't earn money, you get leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And our franchisees come from different backgrounds. We've obviously got a lot of teachers.
Yeah.
Got a lot of retail managers. We've got stay-at-home mums. One of our franchisees is a leisure centre, because they wanted to add on to in fact, they used to have a franchisee come to them and run workshops, and they saw the difference it was making to the kids. It was very profitable, so they said, well, can we buy the franchise? So down in Kent, they've got a nice business running a creation station, and because it's kids and adults, what we find is like, if you think of a wheel, we have generally the women, the mum in the middle, so because they generally organise all things in generally families' lives. So you've got all of the kids stuff, but then you've got all of the so we make friends with the mum. So the kids, the schools, their holiday camps, birthday parties, and then of course you've got the adults. So when I used to run sessions, the parents would say, "Can we do this without the kids, Sarah? Can we do this with a couple of gin and tonics?"
Yeah.
So we've launched our whole adult side of our business, and the event side for us, we get the contracts in and we give them to the franchisees.
Yeah, mega.
So we're in 40 Smiths stores.
Amazing.
This summer. We've done a collaboration with Cruller, so we're running lots of Cruller competitions as well. And collaborating to make a bigger difference. It's more than the sum of the parts. And it's like with our franchisees, we could never have got the most recommended children's activity provider, creative activity provider. That's a reflection of the calibre of our franchisees.
Yeah.
Because they're all reviews of the people out there doing it.
Doing the do, yeah. Not you.
Yeah, exactly, not me.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's about them and the business. And there was one time over the 21 years that I was working really hard and it was tough. And I was like, oh. I remember I paid for a coach and we went for a walk on the beach. We started unravelling what it was. And I realised that Creation Station was, it wasn't me. It had its own life force. I see it as like a shining sun in the sky, actually.
Yeah.
It radiates energy and positivity. And I looked at it, obviously on the beach in my head, looking out to the sea. And I realised, personally, it had given me so much. It given me like time with my kids, given me confidence to be able to sit here and talk to you. And I've done tour. I'm a keynote speaker for lots of different events. It given me so much. And it's also given kids all around the country and adults all around the country. It's given people an opportunity to run their own business and be empowered.
So much more than you now.
It's so much more.
Yeah.
And that, looking outside, being part of something bigger than yourself
is amazing.
Is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And there's so many people to be. My sister's our ops manager.
Amazing. Love that.
She's like me, but she does like the yin and yang. I do the creative and she does all the implementation, all the tech support, which she makes it really easy for our franchisees to understand. She does tech, but on a human level. And her role in life, and she says, is she's there to help people. And so I come up with the ideas, and she doesn't quite run behind and make it all happen, but she does implement what we, a lot of the stuff that we do. But I always wanted the business to be force for good.
Yeah, I feel like it is.
Because thank you.
I feel like it is.
Thank you.
You've got a right good moral compass, you, Sarah. I like that about you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the podcast here, and you're going to have to come on next year. When you come and see Mum next year, you're going to have to come on again. There's a few people that we're going to ask to come back on again, but you're definitely going to have to come back on. There's so many things I want to ask you, but sometimes podcasts can go on forever and ever and ever.
I hope I didn't waffle.
Honestly, thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Yeah. Aww.
I'm going to call it a day.